Evil Talking Ben is almost catching us. Watch the video until the end to save us.
Hi, friends. Today we're going to try to escape from an evil dog in Roblox. It's right behind us, but it seems to be sleeping. So for now, we're safe.
Hi, everyone. Not only do we have challenges ahead, but also boss battles. By the way, if you know the name of this dog, let us know in the comments.
Sheriff Labrador, what if we jump on her belly?
Let's do it, but be ready in case she wakes up. Don't worry.
I think she's stuffed and watched TV all night.
Yeah, looks like we need to crawl through the vents. But there's parkour ahead. Good thing I did that back in school.
Oh no, you accidentally broke her mom's vase. Looks like she's sleeping soundly. Hope she won't notice when she wakes up.
Let's quickly pass through and slip away. Oh, here's a huge room. See those metal platforms? We need to press a button.
I wonder why this dog created all these challenges. I don't think she could handle them herself, although they could be useful for maintaining health.
Wow, it's a rope bridge. I used to ride one of those when I was a kid. Maybe she built all these obstacles so no one could disturb her sleep. But here we are, trying to escape from her. Strange that she kidnapped us. Look, she has a family. Why can't we see them? And who's the guy in the picture on the left? Looks like Tom's friend.
I have a theory. We've entered a world of talking animals. Maybe this is hell because no one wants to be forced to talk, especially about things they don't want to.
Probably. She built all these trials to avoid the fate of endless conversations. Now we need to find the others and figure out why we were kidnapped.
Maybe they kidnapped us so we'd replace them in conversations and they could be free? Or maybe they feed on other animals and that gives them the ability to talk? Or maybe they're just a little crazy. We need to focus on getting out of here and figuring out what's going on.
We need to crawl through the vents. It's the way to the next location. Hopefully we'll meet some new characters.
Look, it's Talking Tom!
Oh, he fell!
Get ready to run.
I don't think he has good intentions. Have you ever seen Tom with red eyes? He looks like he's ready to crush us like pancakes. Looks like he's about to start shooting lasers.
What if he can do more than just talk? We'll need superpowers to apprehend the suspects.
Why is he hiding around the corner? Did he think we couldn't see him?
Maybe he's a little dumb or just sleepy and disoriented.
He has funny little teeth like a baby. You know, he even seems a little cute to me.
Oh, looks like you like all of this. Hope you don't start turning into one of them. Are you in a trance or something?
I don't know. Hope I'm not getting absorbed by this atmosphere. If something happens, let me know.
Of course, let's go through the vent. We've already dealt with Tom. Let's see who's ahead. Looks like a kid's room.
Maybe it's Ben's room?
You're right, it's a girl. I wonder what her name is and if she's facing the same problem as Ben.
While you were talking, we're already in her paws. Why did we get teleported back? I don't think she's as evil as Tom.
I think so too. If she wanted to bite us, she would have gotten out through the bars. There are huge gaps in them.
Oh, her name is Lily. Strange that there's no room for her brother. Why are they separated like that? Let us know in the comments if you have a brother or sister and live in the same room.
What if something happened to her brother? Maybe that's why everyone went crazy and thinks we killed him.
Dobie, you're daydreaming again. It's distracting us from our main goal. I don't think it's as scary as you think.
We're in the central ventilation system that provides oxygen to the entire complex. I wonder what we can leave as a souvenir here.
It was an ordinary night when Dobie and I were patrolling the city of animals. Nothing unusual until a strange light appeared in the sky. It was pulsing, changing colors, and moving like it was alive. I immediately realized it wasn't a meteor or a regular drone. We decided to approach it. When we got to the deserted park, the light grew brighter and descended right in front of us. We stopped, turned on the sirens, and began observing. And then, from that light, dogs began to emerge.
I thought it was some kind of illusion, but no, these dogs look nothing like us. They were large, with bright, almost glowing eyes. Some of them wore metal collars, which were clearly more than just decorations. I felt something stir inside me. It was like encountering something completely different. They approached us confidently, as if they knew exactly what they were doing.
They didn't look like ordinary dogs. Their behavior was calm, but determined, and their eyes held such confidence that it was immediately clear. They weren't random visitors. One of the dogs, who seemed to be the leader, stepped forward and stood on its hind legs. It looked at us, and we realized that it wasn't just trying to scare us, it was trying to communicate. It began explaining that they came from another world, where everything is the opposite. There, dogs are the rulers, and humans are the pets.
I couldn't believe my ears. It felt like something out of a science fiction movie. These dogs claimed that their civilization was much older and more advanced than ours. They traveled between worlds, and now that they had found ours, they wanted to propose an exchange. We, the dogs, should become pets in their world, and they would become the masters in ours. And to do this, they were willing to use their technology to move us there.
I was stunned. We, the dogs, would become pets, and these creatures, strange as it sounded, would take our place. But their confidence in this proposal was so strong that there was no point in doubting. They said their world was one of harmony and order, where dogs rule and humans serve as pets. I felt that this wasn't just a random appearance of aliens. It was a proposal that could change everything.
I kept trying to wrap my head around what they were offering us. Exchange. It wasn't just a word. It meant that our world would change forever. We could try living on the other side, in their world, where dogs were rulers and humans were our pets. We could experience a life we'd never known and see how everything worked there. But I also realized that if we agreed, we would never return.
We were faced with this choice: exchange worlds, become pets in another world, or stay in ours. But knowing that would mark the end of ordinary life. I didn't know what to do, but in their eyes, I saw sincerity. This was more than just an offer. It was an opportunity. We could change not just our lives, but also understand what it meant to be part of another reality.
When they offered to use their technology to travel between worlds, I felt my heart race. It seemed unbelievable, but the thought that we could become part of their world was inevitable. Dogs ruling humans. Life in another world. I didn't know what awaited us, but I was sure of one thing. From this moment on, everything would change.
The day Dobie and I received the call, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. We were patrolling the streets of Animal Town, as usual, when our radar beeped. It was an emergency call, and when we heard what was happening, I felt my heart race. Something terrible was approaching. An evil scientist, known for his bizarre inventions, was threatening to launch a machine that could turn rain into a shower of sweet candy. It seemed harmless. What could be wrong with candy rain? But we knew the consequences could be catastrophic.
As soon as we heard about the scientist's plan, we knew exactly what was at stake. Candy rain wasn't just a fun prank. Sheriff and I knew that too much sugar was a serious threat. If this rain actually fell, all the kids would get toothaches. But it wasn't just that. We all know how hard it is to control the urge to eat a candy. What if there were too many of them? It could lead to severe dental issues and even health problems. We had to act fast.
We sped through the city, and with each passing kilometer, the sense of urgency grew. The scientist, as always, couldn't just leave people alone. He was insanely confident in his plan and didn't think about the consequences. In his lab, a massive machine was already prepared to launch the candy rain.
When we got to the location, everything was ready. The scientist was standing by his machine, surrounded by a tangle of wires and mechanisms that clearly didn't look safe. We immediately realized that time was running out. The machine had already started launching the first candies into the air. They were falling with great speed, like rain, but instead of water, it was caramel, chocolate.
Well, here we are. Behind this door, we've got the map's final boss waiting for us, and it looks like we were wrong. This isn't just any boss. It's a giant robot named Ben. Let's try shooting him right in the teeth. I'm aiming for his legs. Maybe that's his weak spot and he'll fall.
Wow! Ben turned out to be a real coward. Instead of fighting, he just built a giant robot.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he were sitting in a chair right now, sipping coffee and watching a movie. I hope it's not alcohol, though.
And he's probably watching football while we're attacking him. This is so unfair. When we got to the location, everything was ready. The scientist was standing by his machine, surrounded by a tangle of wires and mechanisms that clearly didn't look safe. We immediately realized that time was running out. The machine had already started launching the first candies into the air. They were falling with great speed, like rain, but instead of water, it was caramel, chocolate, and lollipops. I quickly assessed the situation. If we didn't intervene, tomorrow all the kids would be in trouble. As soon as we turned off the machine, the sweet rain stopped.
Wow, we won! Don't forget to congratulate us in the comments, but it's time to leave this crazy world of talking animals.
Well, I guess it's time to say goodbye. Hope you enjoyed our escape from the talking animals.
Yeah, don't forget to leave comments, like, and subscribe to the channel. It means a lot to us. Also, check out our other videos and let us know what you'd like to see next. Time to move on. Let's go to new adventures. Wait, what's going on over there? I hope that's not a giant ginger robot. Or Angela. Bye. Guys, the grumpy Gran almost caught me. Watch this video until the end to save me. Hi, friends. Today we found ourselves in a creepy place. The house of a grumpy grandmother. She not only locked us in here, but also set up numerous obstacles. The house looks cozy at first glance, but every corner hides dangers. It reminds me of Granny's house, only this one is even scarier.
Hello, everyone! Yes, Labrador, this grandma is a real trickster. She not only locked us in the house, but also turned it into a real trap. Every step requires utmost caution, as something unexpected could be lurking around every corner. This place is definitely not for the faint of heart.
On this property, there's another equally creepy house. It seems Grandma decided to double our troubles. Both houses are full of terrifying challenges, and we'll have to go through them to escape. These houses remind me of the famous Granny house, where every sound can give away your location, and every room is full of surprises.
This grandma is the meanest in the world. She's not going to let us go easily. Even if we get out of the houses, we'll face a final battle with her. We need to be ready for this. She clearly knows how to make us run. Grandma is not just grumpy, she has incredible cunning and malice.
But despite all her tricks, we won't give up. Every step we take brings us closer to freedom. We know we can overcome any obstacles she has put in our way. The main thing is to stay calm and focused. This situation requires our maximum concentration.
You're right, Labrador. We've already been through a lot, and this challenge won't be an exception. We'll keep moving forward despite all difficulties. Grandma might be devious, but our determination is stronger. This house may be full of secrets, but we'll uncover them all.
There are many secrets in this house, but we as real sheriffs know how to find a way out of any situation. We'll use everything we find to escape and defeat Grandma. It won't be easy, but we're ready. The house resembles a labyrinth with many hideouts and hidden passages that we need to figure out.
Yes, this adventure will stay with us for a long time, but we know we can handle it. Let's go, friends! New challenges await us, and we're ready for them. Grandma thinks she can stop us, but she doesn't know who she's dealing with.
Grandma's house is full of old toys, strange paintings, and secret doors. It seems like it has a life of its own. Sometimes you can hear the floorboards creak or doors slam, even when no one is around. The atmosphere here is just creepy, making our task even more thrilling.
We must be careful because in this house, every little thing could be a trap. Maybe Grandma has hidden keys or clues that will help us escape. We need to stay alert and use all our skills to avoid getting caught.
Gran is not only smart, but also very fast. She can appear at any moment, and we'll have to react quickly. We need to work as a team, support each other, and not lose faith in our success. This adventure demands our utmost courage and resourcefulness.
Together, we can overcome all obstacles. Grandma may be dangerous, but she won't stop us. Guys, what do you think of this Grandma? She looks a bit creepy to me. Her head is very big, just like the house itself. Labrador, we've already made it quite far. Guys, make sure to subscribe and like.
Make sure to subscribe and like. The second house, like the first one on the property, seems to hold even more dangers. Grandma clearly won't let us go without a fight. This house has long corridors leading to locked doors, behind which the answers to our questions might be hidden.
How can someone even make such a scary house? I wouldn't live here for anything. Creaking floorboards, cold wind seeping through the cracks in the walls, and sudden sounds that make your heart race. But we both know that behind any door might be the key to our freedom.
While we are running away from these scary monsters, by the way, who are they? What do you think, friends? Write your opinions in the comments. I think they are zombies. What do you say, Dobie? You think they are children kidnapped by this old woman? Well, I don't know, maybe you're right, but I hope not.
What else is on the property of her house? I don't understand how she can live here. It's very scary. Really very scary. Every one of your views makes us braver, but still, we shouldn't overdo it, because after all, we are not supermen. Labrador, can you tell them a story where we acted like real superheroes?
In our cozy animal town, life was peaceful and calm until rumors about a strange grandmother began to spread. She was short, with gray hair, and always wore a huge cardigan she knitted herself. She was often seen walking around the streets, and at first glance, she seemed like a regular old lady. But soon, strange things started happening. Children playing in the park or on the playground began to disappear. At first, one or two kids went missing, causing concern among parents. But when the number of missing children increased, the town was gripped by real panic.
Labrador and I immediately knew we had to act fast. As we began our investigation, we noticed one detail. The strange grandmother was always near the places where children disappeared. It was like she was watching them. We decided to keep an eye on her. After a few days, we saw her approach children, offering them candy and inviting them to her house for knitting lessons. The kids, unsuspecting, gladly followed her.
The plan was simple. We needed to enter the house pretending to be regular visitors and free the children. Dobie and I put on everyday clothes and headed to the grandma's house. She greeted us with a smile and invited us in, not suspecting our real purpose. The house was filled with knitted items, scarves, hats, sweaters, even cat toys. But the scariest part was in another room. There, sitting at small tables, the children were knitting. Their faces were tired and sad, and they worked without stopping.
We knew we had to act quickly and carefully. Waiting for the moment when the grandma went to another room, we hurried to the children and started freeing them. They were scared, but when they saw us, they knew rescue was near. We led the children out of the house and hid them in a safe place nearby. Meanwhile, the grandma discovered they were missing and started to panic. She was running around the house trying to find them.
We called for backup, and when the grandma tried to escape, she was quickly apprehended. She was arrested and charged with kidnapping and exploiting children. It turned out she was using the children to create her knitted items, which she then sold. We were happy we could save the children and prevent further kidnappings.
The children were returned to their families, and the town became peaceful again. Parents were endlessly grateful to us for saving their children. This incident showed that even behind the appearance of a harmless old lady, real danger could be lurking. We must always be vigilant and ready to protect our town from any threat.
This story was an important lesson for us. We realized that you can't always judge a person by their appearance. The children quickly recovered and returned to their normal lives. Now we continue to patrol the town to make sure something like this never happens again. We have increased security and pay more attention to all new residents.
The town returned to its usual life. The residents felt safe again, knowing we were always on guard. We continue our work, doing everything possible to make every resident feel protected. This story will remain in our memory as an example of how courage and determination can overcome any danger.
There's another very secret story, just for you friends. Last year, New Year's was nothing like we expected. We were all waiting for Father Frost with his gifts and joy. But instead, on the horizon appeared Granny Frost. At first, she seemed just as kind as her predecessor, but soon we noticed some strange things.
Yes, Labrador, this Granny Frost didn't bring joy. She took it away. She went from house to house collecting candies and sweets, and the gifts she brought were either broken or completely different from what the children had expected. She said she was doing this because she wanted to feel important, but her actions only caused pain.
We noticed something was off when we saw her enter one house and take all the candies off the tree. That was suspicious, and we realized we had to act. We started keeping an eye on her to figure out what she was up to.
Yes, we set a trap. We put some sweets on the table and left a few candies under the tree to lure her in. And sure enough, she came, and we caught her. She was surprised when we grabbed her, but then she told us everything.
It turned out Granny Frost used to be Father Frost. She had lost her magic, and to feel important again, she decided to take away joy from people, not realizing that it was wrong. She thought this would help her regain her power.
We explained to her that real magic isn't about taking from others, but about giving joy. We told her how Father Frost brings happiness to children, and Granny Frost could help decorate homes and make gifts with her own hands. Instead of destroying, she could create.
After that, she changed. We helped her regain her magic, but not the old magic of taking, but the new magic of giving joy. Granny Frost started making toys for children, helping decorate Christmas trees, and even organizing parties for everyone.
Now, New Year's became a holiday for all. Granny Frost no longer took joy. She made it available to everyone. Together with Father Frost and Granny Frost, we created the most magical New Year anyone could ever imagine.
And so, our adventure in the house of that wicked grandma has come to an end. We managed to get through all her traps and finally find the way out. It was tough, but with your support and our strength, we made it.
Yes, Labrador, it was a real challenge, but as always, we didn't give up. Thanks to everyone who was with us. We proved that with teamwork and determination, we can overcome any obstacle. And the grandma, she just couldn't stop us.
Evil Grandpa is already near. Watch the video to the end to save us. Hello, friends. Today, we have found ourselves in a terrifying mode in Roblox. Escape from Evil Grandpa. It turns out this grandpa is not as simple as he seems at first glance. He was abandoned by his grandchildren and children, and now he lives alone in an old, gloomy house. And what did he do? He turned his house into a real nightmare.
Hi, friends. Yes, Labrador is right. This grandpa turned out to be not only evil, but also quite inventive. He has set up many traps and obstacle courses in his house that we need to overcome. But the most interesting part is that he spent his whole life building a giant robot. Can you imagine? In the end, we will probably have to fight this robot. Labrador, run faster so he doesn't catch us. I'm scared.
Grandpa's house is full of strange and dangerous places. For example, he has made floors out of lava and various poisonous liquids. This is not just a house, it's a real death maze. The walls are decorated with paintings of his relatives and friends. It seems Grandpa hasn't completely forgotten about his past.
And these paintings don't just seem to be decorations. They create a strange feeling, as if we're constantly being watched. Grandpa clearly didn't want anyone to find the way out of his house. But Labrador and I aren't the type to give up. We will look for the exit and uncover all the secrets of this place.
It's interesting that Grandpa also engaged in various experiments. Throughout the house, there are traces of his scientific research. It seems he was trying to create something dangerous and powerful. Perhaps that's why he decided to build a giant robot. This house is like a mad scientist's laboratory.
Yes, Labrador, and this makes our adventure even more exciting. We have to be careful and vigilant to avoid falling into his traps. But we will manage. After all, we are a real team, and despite all the dangers, we will move forward and find the way out.
We have a lot to learn about Grandpa and his past. Who knows? Maybe he's just seeking attention and understanding. But one thing is for sure, his house is full of surprises, and every step could be a challenge for us. We need to stay alert and be ready for anything.
Our adventure is just beginning, and we are ready to overcome all the obstacles that Grandpa has prepared for us. Because ahead of us is a meeting with his giant robot. It won't be easy, but we will manage. Or will we? Guys, you definitely need to like and comment to make sure we succeed.
So, friends, we continue our exploration of this creepy house. We have already gone through several rooms, and each one was full of surprises. I especially remember the room with the lava floor. This grandpa clearly loved complex and dangerous mechanisms.
Yes, Labrador, it was just awful. I would never have thought that Grandpa could set such a trap in his house. But we managed, and that's the main thing. And you know what else caught my eye? The paintings. They show Grandpa with various people. Maybe it's his family, or maybe friends. It seems like each painting hides its own story.
These paintings are indeed strange. It seemed to me that in some of them, Grandpa looks like a completely different person, kind and cheerful. What happened that made him so evil? Perhaps loneliness and resentment did their job. But we need to move on and find the way out.
I noticed those changes in his face too. It seems he wasn't always like this. But now we need to focus on our path. There are still many traps and obstacles ahead. And of course, we must not forget about the giant robot that Grandpa has been building all his life. This will be our main challenge.
But first, we need to get out of this house. I think Grandpa left clues somewhere here. Maybe in the basement or the attic. These places always hold something important. We need to carefully inspect every room and not miss a single detail.
I agree, Labrador. We have to be attentive. Every little thing could be the key to solving the mystery. And also, we need to be ready for any surprises. Grandpa could set an ambush at any moment, but we will manage because we have a plan and a team.
Oh, how memorable this story is. As you know, our town is always full of interesting events, but this case truly surprised us. It all started at school when a new physical education teacher named Grandpa Steele appeared. At first glance, he was a kind old man, and all the children immediately liked him because of his gentle eyes and calm voice. But that was just a facade, behind which hid a real mystery.
Yes, Labrador. At first, we didn't even notice that something was wrong. Grandpa Steele was quite an unusual PE teacher. Instead of regular exercises during class, he suggested that the children do their training outdoors, running around the city and completing strange tasks. At first, everything seemed harmless, but with each passing day, his tasks became more and more bizarre. He asked the children to collect things from the streets: bags, phones, wallets, anything small enough so that passers-by wouldn't notice.
The small tasks started with simple requests. Bring me something interesting, or take this as a souvenir. But soon when the children began bringing him other people's things, it started to raise suspicions. One of the students, Sam, accidentally told his parents that he had brought someone's glasses from the park because Grandpa Steele said it was part of the training. The parents immediately suspected something was wrong. They came to us with a complaint, and we started an investigation.
When we began investigating, it became clear that Grandpa Steele wasn't just teaching physical education. He was manipulating the children, making them steal things from passers-by, and those things later ended up in his class. He claimed it was a way for the children to develop agility, but in reality, it was a scheme to collect valuable items while also gaining power. The children felt they were learning something important, not realizing they were becoming part of a criminal activity.
We couldn't just let this go. The day I discovered a couple of bags and phones in the classroom, I realized we needed to intervene. Dobie and I started keeping an eye on Grandpa Steele and his students. We noticed how he spent more and more time outside with the kids, directing them on their hunt. There was no doubt that Grandpa was using his position as a teacher to manipulate the students.
And then came the moment when we decided to take action. We set up a trap. On the day of the next training session, we planted hidden cameras in the area where he usually held the lessons. When Grandpa Steele and the children approached one of the shopping rows, we saw him quietly push the students towards stealing. He even told one of them, "Pick up that bag, it'll come in handy." At that moment, it became clear that we needed to intervene immediately.
When we approached and asked Steele about his actions, he immediately began to justify himself, claiming that his methods were just a training exercise to make the children more agile. But we knew that, in reality, he was using the children for his own gain. We called the police right away, and while they were on their way, we helped the children return all the stolen items to their owners. It wasn't easy, but we couldn't leave the kids in that situation.
After we dealt with Grandpa Steele, all the children returned the stolen items. We talked to them and explained that it's important not only to train your physical abilities, but also to develop moral values. Grandpa Steele was, of course, arrested, and the school held a general assembly for students and parents. We told everyone how important it is not to fall for manipulation and to always remember your principles.
Like I said, there's never a dull moment in our town. That day, strange fiery spots appeared in the sky, and before we knew it, a giant spaceship hovered over the city. It turned out that the aliens weren't here in peace. Their mission was rather unusual. They wanted to take all our grandfathers and grandmothers to a cosmic retirement home.
Yes, Labrador, the aliens were planning to take the elderly, promising them comfort and peace. But the elderly didn't want to leave. The problem was that they were somewhat swayed by the promises, and the aliens began acting, trying to take them right off the streets.
Of course, we couldn't let that happen. Dobie and I immediately began gathering the elderly and explaining that we needed to take action. But the aliens weren't going to back down so easily, and one of our elderly ladies was already on her way to their ship when Dobie and I intervened.
That's when the idea struck me. We quickly gathered the elderly who could help and started devising a plan. Using antennas and old televisions, we set a trap for the aliens. They must have thought they had found an important signal and started following it, just as we had planned.
When they got close, the elderly activated their traps, and Dobie and I sprang into action. The aliens started panicking, and we caught one of them. It immediately threw them off balance.
After that, we set up a real finale. We cornered the alien ship in the town and created interference with their communications. They tried to leave, but their ships began losing stability.
And so, we not only protected our elderly, but we also sent the aliens off peacefully. In the end, no one had to go to the cosmic retirement home, and the elderly threw a celebration in honor of their victory.
Yes, that day was a real lesson for the aliens. The elderly in our town aren't just old people, they are real heroes. And for you and me, Labrador, it was yet another example of how important it is to act together.
Well, friends, Our adventure in the Escape from Evil Grandpa mode has come to an end for today. We learned a lot about his past and went through many challenges.
Thank you for being with us every step of the way. Your likes and comments help us get better and braver.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you won't miss out on new exciting adventures in Roblox and other games. There's still plenty of fun ahead.
See you next time, friends. We'll definitely meet again in new thrilling adventures.
Hi, friends. Today, we found ourselves in Gary's Christmas school. And right away, things didn't go as planned. First, we had to get out from behind bars. Gary and the school principal seemed to think that students should stay here forever. The school is decorated for the holidays with garlands, Christmas trees, and snowmen. But this doesn't hide the fact that it has turned into a real prison.
These guys, Gary and the principal, seem to have completely forgotten the Christmas spirit. They've turned the school into a real trap. Labrador and I started by looking for an exit in the wall, making our way through hidden passages and secret doors. As soon as we found it, the trials began. Platforms, traps, and difficult jumps, all were designed to stop us. But such beauty around, twinkling lights, festive decorations, and it gives us the strength to move forward. Oh, I forgot. Hi, guys.
Gary has always been a strict guard, but now he is truly evil. I heard that he and the principal never liked the students, and now they decided to turn the school into a prison so that no one could leave. These traps and trials seem endless. But every time we see the Christmas lights, it reminds us that the holiday is still near, and we can't give up.
We've already passed several parkours, jumped over snowy obstacles, and avoided icy traps. This whole journey feels like a Christmas tale, only with elements of horror. Gary patrols the corridors, but we keep moving forward, avoiding his gaze. Freedom is still far away, but each stage we pass brings us closer to it. And even though the school looks festive, it's still very dangerous here.
Friends, we have many more trials ahead of us, but we are determined. Gary's Christmas school won't stand in our way. We will continue to search for an exit and overcome all obstacles on the path to freedom. The holiday spirit will help us, and no Gary will stop us.
Every new corridor, every jump across snowy platforms brings us closer to the exit. We will overcome all difficulties and prove that even in such a challenging situation, joy can be found. Forward to freedom, despite all obstacles.
After all these trials, I realized that Christmas is not just about gifts and decorations, but also about the strength of spirit. Every time we face a new trap, the Christmas lights remind us that we are fighting for something bigger. Gary and the principal may try to stop us, but they don't understand that the holiday spirit gives us the strength to overcome any difficulty.
I agree, Labrador. Even when it seems like the exit is far away, we keep moving forward. Every snowy tunnel, every decorated corridor reminds us of our home, where our families and friends are waiting. We had to navigate through the most challenging parts, but this Christmas spirit lifts us up.
Just now, we were doing parkour right above lava. How can there even be lava in this snowy school? I'm in shock. Is Gary a robot? This Gary has completely taken over his school. He even invented this robot. But it's really weak, haha. It can't even catch up with us.
Ouch, that ball is rolling right at us. But I think I figured out how to get past it. Labrador, we need to stay close to the wall to dodge this super fast ball.
Recently, something completely unbelievable and very sad happened in our animal town. New Year's Eve was approaching, and all the residents were eagerly awaiting the holiday. The children were especially excited because they knew Santa would bring them presents. But this year, something went wrong. We started receiving complaints from parents that the gifts they had left under the tree for their children had disappeared. At first, we thought it was just a joke or an accident, but the number of complaints kept growing, and it became clear that something strange was going on.
Labrador and I decided to get to the bottom of this. After investigating, we discovered that an evil Santa lookalike had appeared in town, stealing presents from the children. No one knew where he had come from or why he was doing this. We realized we had to act fast to save the holiday and bring joy back to the children. The trail led us to an old abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, where, according to rumors, the evil Santa was hiding.
When we reached the warehouse, we saw that it was lit up with lights and decorated with garlands, as if there really was a celebration going on. But inside, the atmosphere was completely different. There were scattered gifts all over the floor, and we saw the evil Santa checking his loot. He was big and grim, with a frown on his face and a cold stare. We realized that we couldn't defeat him by sheer force. We needed to come up with a plan to return the presents to the children.
We decided to use trickery. I suggested that Labrador distract the evil Santa while I quietly snuck over to the bags of presents. Labrador started talking to him, trying to lead him deeper into the warehouse, while I began gathering the scattered gifts and hiding them in our patrol car. When Labrador saw that I was almost done, he signaled to me, and we started moving faster.
Once all the gifts were collected, we decided we needed to stop the evil Santa so he wouldn't continue his misdeeds. We used a special net that we had prepared in advance and captured him. It turned out that the evil Santa was a cursed creature who needed warmth and kindness to become good again. We took him to our station where a local wizard lifted the curse. The evil Santa became a kind, ordinary Santa once more, and the gifts were returned to the children.
After everything that happened, our town was filled with joy again. The children received their presents, and the restored Santa promised that he would never again fall under the influence of dark magic. This incident reminded us that sometimes villains can simply be victims of circumstances, and that the true magic of the holiday lies in kindness and supporting each other. Labrador and I returned to our duties, knowing that New Year's in our town would once again be bright and joyful.
In our animal town, the most awaited holiday, New Year, was approaching. Everything was ready. The Christmas tree was decorated. The children were drawing pictures for Santa, and the streets were glowing with lights. But this time, something went wrong. In the evening, when everyone had already started preparing for the holiday, strange things began to happen. At first, the residents noticed that decorations on the Christmas trees were disappearing, and the presents left under the trees were simply melting away. Dobie and I decided to investigate what was going on.
We started our investigation and found out that evil elves were behind everything. They had always helped Santa, but this time something went wrong. These elves decided to spoil the holiday by destroying everything related to New Year's. They used magic to remove all the joy and festive spirit. Labrador and I realized we needed to act quickly before the holiday was completely ruined.
We needed to find the elves and stop them. The trail led us to the forest, where we discovered a hidden base filled with magical toys and candies. The elves were preparing for their final step, turning the whole town into winter without any joy or celebration. Dobie and I knew we had to use trickery to bring the holiday back to the town.
We came up with a plan. I suggested luring the elves into a trap using their own toys. We placed magical toys in different corners of the town, knowing the elves would surely find them. When they arrived, Labrador and I used special shackles to capture them. Soon, all the evil elves were caught, and the holiday was saved.
Once we restored order, everything went back to normal. The trees were decorated again, and the gifts were back under the trees. The elves, deprived of their magic, vowed never to ruin the holiday again. New Year in our town was filled with joy again, and Dobie and I were proud of restoring peace and fun.
This story taught us that even in the darkest moments, you can find light and restore joy. And although the evil elves tried to ruin our holiday, Labrador and I managed to save it. New Year in our town became even brighter, and we hope we never face such troubles again.
Since morning, our animal town had been unusually quiet. Dobie and I were patrolling the streets as usual when we received an urgent call. An old scientist, Professor Scotchkoff, had appeared in the center of town. He was known for his strange experiments. He was always developing something, but never knew how to control his inventions. This time, however, he had created something that could change our world. He had developed a time machine, but something went wrong, and as a result, we found ourselves trapped in time. And it wasn't just a repeat of one day, it was something much stranger.
As soon as we found ourselves trapped, we realized something was wrong. We were back in a school classroom, and time began to loop in a circle. We would wake up, start the day by heading to school, then end up in the same lesson, taking the same test, and everything would repeat over and over again. At first, we didn't understand what was happening. Each time we went through the day, we faced the same problems and situations. But we noticed that each time, we became a little better, a little smarter, and gradually started to guess that the day wouldn't end until we solved the main puzzle.
We tried everything, changing the order of our actions, trying to talk to the teachers, thinking that if we did something differently, we could escape. But nothing changed. Every time we moved on to the next day, everything was exactly the same. We would again go to school, sit in the same seats, answer the same questions. Trapped in this loop, I started to realize that this situation wasn't just a set of learned tricks, but something bigger. Our goal was to get a grade of 5 in the main subjects we were given, and only then would the day stop. It was strange because we always thought grades couldn't be that important.
At first, we tried to find a way to escape, but the faster we rushed, the more mistakes we made. We understood that the key was to get a grade of 5, and only then would the day end. We began preparing more thoroughly, paying more attention to every detail, but still, everything kept repeating. We managed to get the grade of 5 and passed his trap. Thanks, everyone. We've beaten this boss. See you in the new mode.
Hi friends, please like the video and watch it till the end or Santa Barry will catch me. Today we found ourselves in Barry's Christmas prison. And from the very beginning, we're surrounded by a festive atmosphere. There are garlands, snowflakes, and a huge Christmas tree, the largest in Roblox. But behind this beauty lies a real nightmare. Barry, the guard of this prison, is nothing like a kind Santa. He has turned this place into a trap for anyone who ends up here.
Barry became evil because he never liked Christmas. He decided that if he couldn't have fun, no one should. Instead of gifts, he prepared a lot of traps and obstacles for us. We started our journey in a beautifully decorated cell, but quickly realized that it was just a disguise. We had to avoid snowdrifts and ice traps to get out of the cell.
Making our way through the corridors of this prison is a real challenge. We sneaked past giant Christmas decorations that could fall and crush us at any moment. Barry, this evil guard, never missed an opportunity to make our lives difficult. Each new room was full of surprises, and none of them were festive.
We've already passed several dangerous zones, including a parkour room where every step was slippery and hazardous. Ahead of us lies the most difficult challenge, fighting Barry himself. This villain certainly won't let us pass easily, but we're determined because our freedom and the holiday are at stake, and we can't miss it.
It's still a long way to the huge Christmas tree, but we will definitely show it in the video. It shines with all the colors of the rainbow, but Barry awaits us underneath it. We will need to use all our agility and wit to defeat him. We won't let the evil guard ruin Christmas for us or anyone else.
Defeating Barry will bring us freedom and the true holiday spirit. Success awaits us, and no evil guard can stop us. Let's go, Labrador. We can do it.
So, after we escaped from Santa Barry, we found ourselves in the depths of the prison. The Christmas spirit is felt everywhere, but it doesn't bring much comfort. Here, we have to tackle the most challenging parkour, and below us is not soft snow, but boiling lava. Every jump must be precise because one mistake could cost us our freedom.
All these decorations and garlands shouldn't distract us. We've already felt that even in such a bright and festive place, dangers can lurk. These platforms seem reliable, but whenever they light up red, they start to fall. This is a test for the bravest, and we'll need to use all our agility and wit.
Every step, every new platform holds a puzzle. We see lights flickering, snowflakes falling, but beneath all this lies a deadly threat. Moving from one platform to another feels like being part of a Christmas fairy tale with elements of extreme sports. We must be very careful and not lose focus.
But even in such an environment, the Christmas spirit helps us. Every decoration, every holiday detail reminds us why we are fighting. Another challenge awaits us ahead. Do you think we can escape from here? It's important not to rush. Stay calm, and remember that every jump brings us closer to freedom.
I'll never forget that New Year. It started like any other. The city was decorated with lights, the holiday spirit filled the air, and children eagerly awaited their gifts. But this time, something was wrong. Dobie and I were patrolling the city when, one night, we received a strange signal. Santa Claus, who always brought joy, suddenly disappeared. It was terrifying. The children were worried because they knew that if Santa didn't come, New Year's would be ruined.
As soon as we found out what had happened, Labrador and I headed to his North Pole home. We thought it was some kind of mistake, or maybe Santa had just gotten sick. But when we arrived, we saw a strange scene. Santa, whom we'd always known as a jolly, kind old man with a white beard, was gloomy and upset. He was sitting in his workshop, staring at his collection of toys, ignoring us.
When we got close to him, we quickly understood what was going on. Santa said he no longer wanted to deliver gifts because no one believed in him anymore. He was downhearted, his spirit broken, and all his faith in the magic of Christmas was gone. Instead of spreading joy, he decided to seek revenge. In that moment, he created something strange, a magical spell that turned his magical staff into a tool capable of destroying the New Year celebration. All the gifts he had left started to turn into ominous things.
Realizing that the situation was becoming critical, Labrador and I immediately understood that we had to stop him before he destroyed the whole city. We tried to talk to him, but Santa was stubborn. His heart was filled with bitterness. There was no spark of joy in his eyes like we had always seen before. We knew we had to somehow restore his faith in the miracle of Christmas, but how could we do that when he had already decided to ruin the holiday?
We quickly came up with a plan. Santa, despite his anger, was still kind by nature. We decided to restore his faith with the help of children. Dobie went into the city and gathered all the little ones, explaining that Santa needed their help. We set up a small impromptu ceremony where the children wrote letters to Santa, telling him how much they believed in him and how grateful they were for everything he did. We hoped these letters could melt his heart.
When we returned with the letters, Santa initially didn't believe that it was all real, but as he began reading these sincere words of gratitude, his heart started to thaw. He looked at the letters, where the children talked about how they believed in miracles and how every Christmas was the most important time of the year for them. This gave him strength. He suddenly remembered that Christmas was not just about gifts. It was about love, joy, and faith.
At some point, his expression changed. Santa returned to his kind nature and once again felt the magic of Christmas. Instead of continuing to destroy the holiday, he decided to restore everything he had destroyed. He waved his magical staff, and all the gifts became good and joyful again. Santa apologized to us and all the people of the city, restoring the magic to his gifts that they had always carried.
In the end, Christmas was saved. We returned to the city, and Santa, once again full of joy, continued his work. The children rejoiced, and Labrador and I could relax, knowing we had brought back the holiday. We realized how important it is to believe in miracles, even when it seems like everything is lost. Faith and kindness can overcome any darkness.
It was an unusual New Year. Everything started like usual. The tree in the center of the city, lights twinkling, children rejoicing. But when the clock began counting the final seconds to midnight, everything suddenly stopped. Silence. Dobie and I were standing in the square when we noticed that everything around us had frozen. People, cars, even the snowflakes in the air. Everything was stuck in place. Trying to figure out what was happening, we quickly realized this was no ordinary event. Suddenly, figures appeared before us, shrouded in mist and light. Wizards.
They appeared out of nowhere. These strange beings began casting spells, and time in our city froze. This wasn't just a magical trick. They had essentially taken time from us, along with all the joys and events of the celebration. Labrador and I stood in the middle of the square, realizing that if we didn't stop these wizards, the new year would remain in the past, and the city would sink into eternal silence.
We immediately understood there was no time to waste. We needed to act fast, but the wizards were powerful. Their magic was strong, and they simply laughed at our attempts to intervene. One of them, the senior wizard, said they had decided to stop the new year to show everyone their power. They claimed that time magic was their main weapon, and they ruled it until they decided to release us.
However, Labrador and I weren't about to give up. We had not only courage, but also the ability to solve problems. We decided to take an unconventional approach, reverse magic. We remembered old tales about how wizards use not only strength, but also cunning. Instead of fighting with force, we decided to enter their magic circle. I suggested a risky plan to Labrador. We needed to find a way to connect with their magical stones, which they were using to stop time.
I agreed, but I knew it wouldn't be easy. The wizards sensed our caution and began creating obstacles. One of them shot a powerful spell at us, but I managed to react in time. We hid behind the tree, and I, without wasting any time, prepared for the next step. At that moment, Dobie had figured out how to break their magical defense. He suggested using the power of will to focus our intent on restoring time.
I started concentrating on what I wanted to return, the magical moment of the celebration, the laughter of children, and the joy. Labrador and I held hands, trying to align our will with the wizard's magic. Gradually, we began to feel the energy around us changing. At that moment, the wizards noticed that their power was starting to weaken.
Today we found ourselves in Barry's Christmas prison. And from the very beginning, we're surrounded by a festive atmosphere. There are garlands, snowflakes, and a huge Christmas tree, the largest in Roblox. But behind this beauty lies a real nightmare. Barry, the guard of this prison, is nothing like a kind Santa. He has turned this place into a trap for anyone who ends up here.
Barry became evil because he never liked Christmas. He decided that if he couldn't have fun, no one should. Instead of gifts, he prepared a lot of traps and obstacles for us. We started our journey in a beautifully decorated cell, but quickly realized that it was just a disguise. We had to avoid snowdrifts and ice traps to get out of the cell.
We defeated that big boss. Thanks everyone for watching. Do you want to see more New Year's modes? Personally, I'm really looking forward to the new year. Let's move on to the next mode. Mr. Yummy wants to turn us into a sweet treat. Watch the video until the end to save us. Hello, friends. Dobie and I found ourselves in the most unusual place, Mr. Yummy's Christmas supermarket. This place is huge, and the holiday spirit is everywhere. The windows are decorated with garlands. The shelves are bursting with various foods and Christmas gifts. Everywhere you look, lights are twinkling and ornaments are hanging. But it's not as simple as it seems at first glance.
That's right, Labrador. This supermarket is full of traps, and we have to navigate through them to get out. But the most surprising thing is Mr. Yummy himself. He is huge and made of different kinds of food. His body is made of sausage, his arms are baguettes, and his head is cheese with huge olives for eyes. He looks very funny, but don't let his appearance deceive you. This guy is full of surprises.
Mr. Yummy is the true master of this place. He keeps order in the supermarket and does everything he can to make sure no one leaves easily. This giant made of food seems good-natured, but in reality, he is very cunning and sly. Everything in his store is designed to confuse and delay us.
Yes, Labrador, and this Christmas supermarket is full of not just food, but all sorts of unexpected obstacles. We've seen huge pyramids of canned goods that could collapse at any moment, and giant candy canes that seem like they want to entangle us. Everything here is infused with the holiday spirit, but at the same time, every detail hides some kind of trap.
All of this makes our adventure even more exciting. We move through the brightly decorated aisles, trying not to fall for Mr. Yummy's tricks. Despite all the challenges, you can't deny that this supermarket is incredibly beautiful. Lights are sparkling everywhere. Christmas melodies are playing, and the air is filled with the scents of gingerbread and hot chocolate.
This is probably one of the brightest and most magical places we've ever been. But we need to stay alert. Mr. Yummy won't miss a chance to delay us. He's full of unexpected tricks and always ready with new schemes. But we're not giving up either. We have a plan, and we're ready to face all the challenges to get out of here.
Dobie and I have overcome difficulties many times before, and this time will be no exception. We will work together, helping each other every step of the way. Only teamwork will help us pass all the tests and escape from this cunning but incredibly beautiful supermarket. Let's move forward and show Mr. Yummy that we're not easily stopped.
I agree, Labrador. We are ready for anything this supermarket throws at us. With each step, we get closer to the exit, and nothing can stop us. We'll show Mr. Yummy that friendship and ingenuity always win. Onward to freedom and new adventures. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button.
Friends, today I want to tell you an incredible story that happened in our town on Halloween. It all started with the children collecting a huge amount of candy, as usual. But this year, something went wrong. It turned out that a lot of the candy was left uneaten. You might think, so what? But what happened next was truly amazing.
Every year after Halloween, there's always a lot of uneaten candy left in our town. Usually this doesn't cause any problems. But this year, something was different. The morning after the celebration, I noticed strange tracks on the street. They looked like they were made of melted sugar and chocolate. I decided to find out what these tracks were and where they led.
Dobie and I met at the central square, where the tracks became particularly noticeable. There, among the scattered wrappers and plastic buckets, we saw something incredible. A huge monster, made up of all the uneaten candy, stood in the middle of the square. Its body was made of caramel, its eyes of gummy candies, and its hair of long candy canes. This sight was both frightening and amazing.
The monster looked very menacing, but it wasn't doing anything aggressive. It just stood there, looking at us with its gummy eyes. Labrador and I decided to get closer to understand what it intended to do. And then, the most interesting part began. It turned out that the monster wasn't evil, but rather curious. It started moving through the town, exploring everything around it.
We realized we needed to do something to return everything to normal. First, we decided to talk to the children and find out why they had left so much candy uneaten. It turned out that many of them had simply overestimated their capacity and couldn't eat everything they collected. We gathered the children and told them about the monster that had come to life from their leftover sweets.
The children were thrilled by such an unusual story and immediately offered their ideas. We decided that we needed to gather all the remaining candy and offer it to the monster. Perhaps in this way, we could return it to its normal state. The children began collecting the candy, while Labrador and I kept an eye on the monster to ensure it didn't cause any trouble.
When all the candy was collected, we approached the monster and offered it the sweets. It gladly accepted them and started to shrink in size. Gradually, its body became smaller and smaller until it turned into a small pile of candy. The children were cheering and laughing, and Dobie and I realized that our plan had worked.
The next day, the town square was clean again, and there was no trace of the monster. The children took their candy, and Labrador and I agreed that next year we would make sure there weren't so many uneaten sweets left. It was an unusual and instructive story that taught us all to be more mindful of what we leave behind.
Listen, friends, something completely unusual happened in our town. It all started as usual with an ordinary rain. But this time, the rain was sweet. Dobie, the other townspeople, and I couldn't even understand what was happening. Instead of regular raindrops, colorful candies were falling from the sky. At first, we thought it was some strange coincidence, but when the rain kept going, we realized something was wrong. It was a real candy rain.
Of course, at first, everyone thought it was just a miracle. Children ran through the streets collecting candies, laughing, and having fun. It seemed like something to celebrate, but as always, I became cautious. I knew that things like this usually don't happen without a reason. And then, strange things started happening. Our town became a scene of total chaos. The candies were falling so fast that the streets began to get covered in layers of sweet treats.
But then we realized this wasn't just a fun event. Some residents started complaining about toothaches after eating too many candies. And more importantly, the candies started mutating. Some began to melt right before our eyes, turning into sticky goo, while others became too hard. That's when Dobie and I understood this wasn't a coincidence. Someone was definitely up to something.
We started an investigation. You wouldn't believe how many candies ended up all over the town. We even had trouble with the cleanup because they were sticking to trees, cars, and roofs. The children kept collecting them, but I was always worried there might be some hidden consequences. Labrador, you remember how we tried to stop this madness, right?
Of course I remember. We immediately headed to the town's laboratory to check if the rain was some sort of chemical contamination or the work of some fraudsters. But the tests didn't show anything suspicious. Then we reached out to local scientists and discovered traces of strange activity in the atmosphere. Soon, it became clear that this wasn't just rain. It was an artificial process being controlled by someone.
And that's when we met a curious character. It turned out the rain wasn't a coincidence. It was an experiment organized by a local chemist named Professor Caramel, who wanted to create a sweet rain to increase happiness in the town. But as usual, he hadn't thought through the consequences. He never imagined that the candies could cause such problems. Caramel didn't even expect his sweet miracle to get out of control.
Dobie and I didn't hesitate and decided it was time to put an end to this mess. We arranged a meeting with Professor Caramel to stop his experiment. He was so absorbed in his idea that he didn't even realize what was happening in the town. We convinced him to stop the experiment, and then, together with the scientists, we found a way to neutralize all the effects of the candy rain.
When the candy rain finally stopped, we spent several days cleaning up the town and helping the residents get rid of the leftover traces. But the most important thing was the lesson we learned. You shouldn't get carried away with experiments if all the risks aren't considered. Although in the end, the town returned to normal, and everyone realized that true joy isn't in candy falling from the sky, but in how we take care of each other and solve problems together.
Well, friends, we finally reached the end of our adventure in Mr. Yummy's supermarket. It was a true Christmas race. We made it through all the traps, overcame every challenge, and of course, we never forgot the power of teamwork. We wouldn't have made it without helping each other. We escaped. But let's not forget that many more new adventures are ahead of us.
That's absolutely right, Labrador. This was incredible. I really didn't expect Mr. Yummy to be so devious. That supermarket was a real trap, designed to keep us stuck. But we showed him that nothing can stop real sheriffs, right? And by the way, friends, all those Christmas treats sure look delicious. But Labrador and I managed to resist and didn't give in to temptation.
The most important thing is that we arrested Mr. Yummy, and he won't be able to take over any more candy stores. But I don't know. I kind of feel sorry for him now because he's crying. Guys, what do you think? Should we let him go or not? Write your thoughts in the comments.
Well, it's time to go and get ready for the next case. We've got many more exciting challenges ahead, and who knows, maybe we'll run into that devious Mr. Yummy again. But for now, I hope you enjoyed our adventure.